Are we rolling? God, is this thing... Yes. Welcome to Bonzolium channel. This is a video for Ramble On, the drums of Ramble On. I will get right to the point though, well, in the teaching, but also too. There does exist, there's a drums only version of this you can find, and it's on YouTube right now in another window. Open up another window, type in Ramble On drums only. Even, you don't have to write Led Zeppelin. If you write Ramble On drums only, it'll come up, okay? And I don't recall if somebody sort of took it from Guitar Hero or from one of those things and sort of EQ'd some of the other stuff out. I don't think they did. I mean, I think they might have cleaned it up with a little EQ, but there are some drum tracks out there from Zeppelin too, like Whole Lotta Love, Ramble On, and maybe What Is Whenever, I forget. But you can really just hear the drums, which is really neat, okay? It's really neat to hear this in isolation. The effects are on the drum. I know with Whole Lotta Love, the effects are on the drums. Reverbs, delays, etc. Not sure about Ramble On, probably. But, so, open that up and listen to it. For a lot of people, it's very self-explanatory. Ramble On is sort of a more simple, sort of straight ahead, not overly complicated Zeppelin-y, Bonham-y, Page thing. And Plant Jones too, of course, but my point just being oftentimes Page is the producer, right? So hand in hand with the drummer, Page, Bonham. And therefore, you get sort of a vis-a-vis sort of mojo. So, but what happens is you notice in the song there's that 16th note that's carried the whole time, to carry the song along. Now in days before click tracks have actually been around a long time. Anything used, whether it's a click track, remember click track was like a brand name, okay? It's a metronome. Or whether you played with one of the old analog metronomes or they just play with a sequencer, or they, back in the days, the Who would play along with tapes live, like Quadrophenia. All that synthesizer stuff, or from Who's Next. They'd have 2-inch tape on the side of the stage and then they start playing along to it. Which if you read some books about, it's pretty interesting when sometimes those would malfunction. Anyway, oftentimes in songs, anybody would do it. But the drummer or somebody might keep something along if there's a period of time where there's no drums, or there's no discrete percussive thing going on to sort of carry the song along. They would just have something going along that they might usually not use in the mix later. It could have been this, or maybe the whole time they intended it was going to be used in the mix. Nonetheless, on the studio recording, it really does sort of have the sound of sort of hitting your thigh, jeans-wearing thigh open-handed. So hang on, I got these headphones on to protect my hearing a little bit. Or if I use sticks on it. But you'll notice when you listen to the drums only, what's really neat is it is actually a kind of different sound than you hear on the final recording. On the final recording, it is a softer, warmer, sort of more muted. Okay, it really does kind of sound like that. When you listen to the drums only, it sounds more hollow, and he's clear. To me, it's clear that he's using sticks and either hitting something hollow, possibly his floor tom, or a drum that just has a towel on it, a la Ringo-y sort of, or maybe a bucket or one of his drum cases or something that's sort of muted. But it really does sound different and true to as it actually sounded apparently in the studio if you listen to the drums only, which is really interesting. Okay, moving forward. Then we have, though, you can really hear again in that sort of pre-click tracky era, it's extremely organic. You can hear the tempo move, and it's not, to a diehard person, especially in this day and age where everything's played to a click track, and even if they don't use, the Russian direct or they don't quantize stuff, it's not precise, but it's very organic. It's like you can hear points where there's some extra little accents here and there that, in fact, he is truly playing along with, which sounds like is the main guitar riff they use through. And little times it speeds up a little, and a couple times it sort of flip-floppies a little, but it is really neat. Okay, great experience, great insight into the Led Zeppelin recording process. All right, so what happens is, and it is very straightforward, but nonetheless, some people have asked me to make this video, so here it is. When the drums first come in, which is a way into the song, it happens after a while, right? So you have boy, that hurt. You have this going, ba 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 da do, ba 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 ba, and then you get into ba da 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 da. I'm gonna snap and howl and howl, ba ba. I'm gonna be. has a couple different sort of outros he does use when he comes out of it. Sometimes it's just a crash. But anyway, the point being of that is, what is really interesting is a couple things. It's pretty straightforward. It's a little simpler than I always thought it was from listening to the drums only. You know, when the drums come in, now when I play it slower like that, it messes a little bit the syncopation of it. But my point being, instead of going, it sounded to me like he was always going, you know. But if you listen to the drums only, he's not, okay? Just goes to show you. God, I'm gonna. Do you remember that movie with Robert De Niro and Jerry Lewis called The King of Comedy? Would it be great if somebody made a movie like they went and they got Jimmy Page and they brought him in the studio with all the 2-inch tapes and said, we're gonna listen to, you know what I mean? Do like a, what is it, like album sides or whatever? But like everything Zeppelin. That's like one of my. Before I die, it would be great if you could just sit and listen to, break all those mixes down and just listen to other versions, you know, other takes they did, or maybe where some edits are. Oh, Jimmy Page, you'd make your fans so happy if you did that. Anyway, but so what happens is you have the. Now, I had said before in other videos, no matter what you're learning, the best way to learn to do anything is obviously learn it as slow as you can. You break it down into small pieces, as small as you can, and then become familiar with it and learn it and play it over and over again, okay? It's human nature. It's built into our nature. It's sort of like a microcosm sort of evolution. Like over generations of people and things, you know, things evolve. Because if something figures out some advantage or some mutation or something that seems to not, what happens is it doesn't kill it off. Something that doesn't get killed off means it lasts longer, which means that it and its ilk will then propagate further, which then will have either that mutation or whatever. But the point being is, even in a short run, even in a micro sense here in your daily life, that when you learn something, it's the same thing. Like something that even seems really difficult, like let's say, because we're talking about drums, when you see Buddy Rich, when he was, I mean, anybody, any modern guy in these days, you know, John Riley or Joe Jamera, but even Buddy Rich, because he did it his whole lifetime, it looks so fluid. But even Buddy Rich, way when he was younger, had to learn it. You pick up things slowly. Different people obviously have different learning curves. There are geniuses or there are prodigies or people that are, but anybody can learn anything at least to a degree, okay? So you break it down to its smallest component and you play it over and over again. As it applies to Ramble On, that the drum riff itself is very, because there's not really a lot, it's sort of a pattern that really sort of goes over and over again in a shorter amount of time. You can just loop it over and over again, okay? Well, then we're back to, okay, right after that. As far as the recording goes, per se. But what you can do, because of the nature of that beat, you can just play it over and over again. Play it nice and comfortable. Now, what happens there, because of sort of the chug-a-lug nature of the song, it is such a classic Jimmy Page guitar riff. Jimmy Page used to just sit around and make up and play these guitar riffs that he recorded that you can find on YouTube. It's like him sitting in a room playing all this cool, totally like Jimmy Page bizarre, not bizarre tuning, but like his tuning, but like little guitar-y, jangly riffs that they would work into main riffs of songs. I'm about to go off on a huge tangent. No, I'm preventing myself. Okay, so what happens here is in the riff, I'll try to sing it along. da 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 da. But ba 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 da da da. Those drums accent. At first it's a combo. Ba okay? It's pretty self-explanatory, but just in case. And then the part ba ba ba. Okay, but with the hi-hat on the. So as the whole chunk there to that point would be ba. So you can just loop that over again, loop over and over again. I mean. Ba. Let me get some oxygen. Ba, 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 ba. Ba, okay, really, but that's what you do. You just play it over and over again. So that would be that little part. But then as we go da 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 da, those accents are on the snare, okay? Okay? Okay, so he just brings it up. So it's really neat because it is a really sort of it's an organic. It's not something that somebody might. It's a neat thing that somebody. There's a different way just sort of to play the rhythm. So instead of be like you just have a little bit of those accents. Like if it was a horn, you know, you could really do like a horn section on this. I mean, it is very horny. You know, hornish, brassy. You know what I'm saying? Trumpetish. Horn section-y. Come on, you bastard, get on there. Do you know what I'm saying? But I remember me and my buddies, we saw The Who at Alpine Valley, 1989. This is a quick tangent. Alpine Valley, 1989. It was like one of the lost. It was crazy, man. Anyway, The Who had a brass section. So it's like talking about my generation. Ba, 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 ba. It was crazy over the top. But a good way, like imagine almost like seriously like a horn. If horns were in this arrangement, it would be there. Okay, 3, 4. Ba 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 da 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 da. And it might be more obvious in a certain way, almost like a big bit. Okay, so especially if you just listen to the drums only. Again, to go back to it, it'll be pretty self-explanatory. But I will say something, at least one thing, which is really neat about the drums only, is it cleared up a little thing. To me, I'd always sort of heard, so 3, 4, da. Hear that? He's not doing that. He's not doing that. That extra note isn't there. It really is just that one note on the front of it. So it helps if you loop that over and over again, okay? As I said, anything you do over and over again, you'll get better at. Just take your time doing it. Relax. So it's conducive just to play that over and over again. Just do that over and over again. And there is an interesting part that when he gets to there is a point where he does stray from the where he strays from the, well, when he's back in the there is a point where he's like a couple of those little turnarounds in the groove, which is kind of nice. So yeah, I guess that would occur in the okay. So, but the neat thing about, and again, but there's my point is that there's not much variation from the main beat. Okay, everything really is. Even when it's like when we get into the it's the same chug-a-lug-a boogie-woogie, okay? However you want to accent at the end. I mean, I kind of want to keep it open-ended. I know sometimes people want to know exactly what's going on in the recording from beginning to end and just the recording, which is helpful sometimes, especially when a recording in and of itself is so sweet. And this is a sweet recording. But just loop over that part. Oh, there is more. Sorry. As the song goes on the outro, okay, there's a point where bottom then starts to loop. Builds it up like that. You sort of have the basic. So when you have the ba ba da 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 da, once you get to that part, there comes a time at the end of the tune that goes over and over again. That goes on. And then what he does is he brings in an extra bass drum. And after that goes for a little while, he kind of starts adding another snare note. Cool, because that's another thing you can just loop over and over, okay? Just so what I'm doing there by the culmination where you get the two notes here and the two notes here, but it's swung. In a non-swung way, it's. This is sometimes what thinks about like the pedantic or pedagogical kind of. Well, when you're teaching it, if you kind of switch it over to something else that like. Going, but essentially it's kind of like but swung like So if you do, back from my other videos, when you have, remember Bonham used to do like, that type of thing. It's that sort of feel. So you can almost do like da 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 da. Like in my triplet drum video, or essentially just working on your doubles. If you go, so start doing. This is helpful for the feel. Just bear with me for a minute. Maybe not appropriate for everybody. There might be some people that might find when you go a little funky with the feel. So do it without your snare drum for a minute. Go. Swings more like 1 and 2 and so it's sort of between like 16ths and then like a triplet. Okay, but that's what he's got going on. Except he's hitting the snare at the same time as that loud accent on the hi-hat. I'll slow it down. Where we get into the the pedagogical pedantic kind of thing, where it gets more 16th-y when you slow it down, like 1E and 2E and 3E and 4E and then you get into the so you have the. I hope I haven't lost anybody. So da chugga chug chugga chug chugga chug chugga. But then get those 8th notes going. But then what you're gonna do, gotta hit my knuckle really hard, is then you're gonna get two notes in with the hand. Remember, practice it slow, but try to get it, see if you can nail it in the first way in a groove, in a way of the song. Because if you really get it slow and sort of straight up learny, then it starts getting like. The 16th way, which actually feels more difficult and is harder to learn. So just think ba ba da 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 da. And incidentally, in those early days of Zeppelin-dom, you really can hear him. You know, he really seemed to tune his drum a certain way, like on the second and sort of third records, or at least they picked it up that way. More muted 6.5-y snare drum. Or at least that's what it sounds like. I wasn't sitting next to the guy. But you really do notice rim shot, a lot of rim shot on his stuff. God, that sounds like Bickus Dickus. Anyway. I hope that this was a helpful video, okay? Find Ramble on drums only, okay? And just listen to it, okay? It is really straightforward. Again, it's not as busy as, at least in those... It's not... Then again, I might have been the only one who ever thought it was like that. So... Okay? Okay? God, sorry that was a little longer-winded. But then again, It is ramble on, as I ramble on all the time. Thanks for watching my videos. I appreciate it. Have a safe and happy New Year. Okay, really. Even if you're driving home sober, on New Year's Eve, if you're driving, or even walking, as you're coming to intersections, I don't care where you are, even though your light is green, pretend like it's a flashing, like slow down and look both ways. Because I've seen people blow through, you see it anyway. But on New Year's Eve, I've seen a crazy amount of people. You'll be coming up to a green light, and I see cars just drive right through. I'm not kidding out, Bonzolian people. Be careful on New Year's Eve, because it is amateur night. There's a lot of people who don't drink a lot all year, and they go out and they get busted up on New Year's, and they get in their whatever they're driving, and they drive like crazy, okay? So have a safe and happy New Year, okay? See you soon.